what's going on, guys? BouseFeenux here, and lately, I've been noticing a hefty helping of new players getting into this game, and a lot of returning players come back since the release of Season 3. Even some of my buddies in real life, yes, I have friends, shut the fuck up, have picked up the game and started getting into it. So, what I wanted to do today is kind of go back to basics and get an updated guide series relevant to Season 3 put together for all of you new folks and some of you that maybe haven't played in a while and are trying to get back into the lay of the land. Now, this was gonna be just one long video, but I figured it'd be better if I made this a series to kind of deliver the information in bite-sized chunks, so that way you don't get overwhelmed, and as you have more questions as a community, I can add more videos to this playlist. The idea was kind of to make this a daily lesson in For Honor for new people, and I'm gonna try and touch on everything I think is important to know for a new player in this guide series, just enough to get you up and going so that you kind of know what's going on with For Honor in a general sense. So with that being said, let's jump into today's lesson, which covers choosing your faction and getting an idea of which hero you might want to play. So first up, let's talk about your faction. One of the first things you do in the game after you install and open it is choose one of the game's 3 factions to fight for. You've got the Knights, the Vikings, and the Samurai. Whichever faction you choose to fight for determines which banner you place war assets under for the faction war, which we'll talk about in a different lesson. Now, choosing a particular faction does not lock you out of character choices. You can be in the Knights faction and still play Samurai characters, and your war assets will still count towards the Knights. Also, if you're not sure you're in the faction you want to be in, don't panic. You can switch your faction at any time by going to your profile. Be warned, though, that changing your faction during a faction war round will forfeit any rewards you would have gained that round. Moreover, if you change your faction after the first round of the faction war, you forfeit any rewards you'd gain for the entire season. So choose wisely and choose seldomly. Moving on, after choosing your faction, the next thing you're gonna want to do is learn a character. This character is the fighter that you'll be taking into matches, and if you're new to the game, you'll have to unlock them all for 500 steel apiece, which is the game's currency. Don't worry though, if you do the tutorial, you should have more than enough currency to unlock all of them. If you're not sure you want to waste steel on a certain character, you can still play that character, but you won't be able to level it up or gain any gear with it. It's like a try before you buy sort of thing. Anyway, at the time of this video, there are 16 characters in For Honor to choose from, all with their own playstyles, strengths, and weaknesses. Now, when picking a character, you should just choose whichever one appeals to you without worrying about meta and all that stuff, and honestly, you should play every character at least once, if only to learn how to fight against them. Now, with that being said, I did want to put together a little list of characters I think are good to get into the game with, and rate them from easiest to hardest in terms of learning curve. Now, I'm not going to go through every character in the game because this video would be long as hell, but I am going to just pick a few in each category and give you a quick snapshot of them. So first up, we have easy mode characters. These are characters you can pretty much hop into the game with, and even at a beginner's level have some modicum of success with, even though you may not know too much about the game yet. So let's take a look at character number 1 on the easy list. This is Warlord. Warlord is an insanely forgiving character to learn if you're just starting out. He's also extremely high up in the tier list right now and wins a bunch of tournaments, so you really can't go wrong in choosing him. Among other things, he's got high health, does a good deal of damage, has hyper armor on heavy attacks, and has ready access to an unblockable attack that guarantees damage if it lands. On top of that, he's got one of the best guard breaks in the game. The veterans watching this video are probably gonna skin my ass for me saying all this, but for as much of a pain he is to fight against, you really can't choose a more forgiving starter character to learn the game on. Next on the easy list though, we have the Peacekeeper. If a knockoff Assassin's Creed character is more your speed, then I suggest Peacekeeper. She's got insanely fast lights, bleed damage, and very high mobility. Pretty much everyone hates her and you'll probably get a ton of hate mail for playing her, but who cares? You're new. Just learn the game and bugger what folks say. After that, you've got the Centurion. Since Season 2, he's pretty much been regarded as the most bullshit character in this game. In 4v4 modes, he's incredibly broken, and even if you only understand this game on the most basic level, you'll still have some success playing him in those modes. He's got tons of unblockable attacks, a soft feint, and the incredible ability to mine vast amounts of salt from an entire community. And lastly on the easy mode list, check out Shinobi. He's basically a peacekeeper that kicks you in the face and can attack you at long range. He's a little tougher to learn than the others on this easy mode list, but once you get him down, he's pretty formidable. Let's move on to medium difficulty characters though. These are going to be the guys that maybe provide a bit more of a challenge to get comfortable with at the outset and really bring out their potential. But that being said, they're still fairly high in the tier list, and if you can learn them, they're very rewarding to play. So first up on the medium tier list, we've got Warden. This is likely the very first character you'll even touch while playing the game, as you'll need to do the tutorial with him. Warden is still easily one of the strongest characters in the game, but he's gonna take a bit more effort to learn than some of the others I've previously mentioned, but if you can get him down, you'll be really hard to beat. Next up though, we've got the Raider. Raider used to be absolute trash tier, but after a series of buffs, he's pretty much a nightmare in the hands of a tricky player. He's got a fantastic mix-up game and ready access to an unblockable that you can do a lot of stuff with. He's strange to learn though because his punishes aren't really the same as a lot of other characters, but if you start with him, that doesn't really matter because you won't really have a frame of reference. Anyway, the last of our medium difficulty characters is going to be the Orochi. Like Peacekeeper and Shinobi, the Orochi is also an assassin. When the game came out, he was hands down the most annoying noob stomper class, but since then he's kind of taken a backseat to Centurion and some of the other more broken classes. Orochi is fairly straightforward, which can make him seem almost predictable, but he's still a solid choice for new players, and in the right hands, he's definitely a challenge to beat. Moving on though, let's talk about hard mode characters. These guys may either be tough to learn or just super weak in the current meta. That doesn't mean you can't win with them though if you put a lot of practice and learn the game really well. That being said, our first character is my old main, Kensei. People argue that he's the absolute worst character in the game hands down, and they may be right, but I honestly don't think people have really taken the time to learn him. I will say though, he's one of the most challenging characters to be successful with in the game right now. Despite all that though, he is extremely fun to play if you can get him down. Next up on the hard list, we've got Berserker, my second favorite character in the game. Zerker is kind of in a weird place right now, honestly. Really good Zerker players can make your head spin, but really bad ones are extremely predictable. He takes a lot of time to get comfortable with, but if you really get the feel for him, you'll have an extremely fun character to play around with. Plus, I've never met a Zerker player that wasn't chill as fuck. But lastly, for hard mode, I wanted to mention Lawbringer. People love this guy, and with his cool armor and nifty polearm, it's easy to see why. He's fairly strong in the current meta right now, but he's got a lot of moves and mechanics to keep track of that would probably be a bit much for a new player. That being said though, he is an absolute monster if you're good with him, and a lot of people are. So there you have it guys, a short list of characters at easy, medium, and hard levels of learning curve, and a little bit of information on how to choose your faction. Give these characters a try if you're just starting out, or like I said earlier, just pick whomever looks cool to you and go from there. You'll figure it out. Also, don't take this ranking thing too seriously. You might have a certain affinity for a character that I don't, or that others don't. Try them all, like I said, and decide for yourself. But that is going to be it for today's lesson, folks. In the next lesson, we'll cover gear and everything you need to know about that. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do so now if you're interested in following this series, and I'll try to get these up as often as possible to help you guys out. Additionally, if you've got any other questions you'd like me to answer in a future video, leave a comment below and I'll see if I can create a lesson based around your question. Also, veterans, don't despair. I'll still cover any relevant news as it comes out. I just think this guide series is important for new people, so hang in there for me. Lastly, if you need a community to hang out in, join my Discord using the link in the description below. But until next time though, I'm BouseFeenux. I'll see you at the next one, and as always, thank you so much for watching.